at the time, I was interested in questions about epigenetics and how information were transferred through matter, biomatter, and people instead of being said and told. My family, like, people were not really talking about things. Their bodies were manifesting things. So this is how it started for me to be interested in working with living organisms. But you have to understand also, at the time, in all art schools, there were no biolabs. So it was not an option, really, to do that. Like, now it's starting to change. So I was lucky to have an award to go to study in an American school in the US. And there they had a beautiful biolab. So I was working on these questions with very traditional media like video, sculpture. And then I encountered a material that I got really interested in and spent 3 years just experimenting with it, not knowing what to do, and trying to form the formlessness. Slowly, I entered a family, broad family that is not really defined, that is called bioart, that has to do with biotechnologies, that exists for a few years now, few decades. And I felt like I had a little different way to approach working with living organisms than most of the bioart family of artists today that are very focused on biotechnologies. And me, I just felt like gradually that maybe I had something else to do about my relationship with my art works and the cultures. I'm cultivating the art. So in French, I call it like art cultivé, which is a bit like weird, but in English actually it works well. So we can call it like grown art. This is a proposition. And there are many, many artists now and young people that are very interested in growing their materials and not just taking already extracted and already made and finished materials to produce art with, but more like installing a relationship with form that are arising from growing materials. So basically, I'm going to show you my artworks that are, it's not going to be chronological. I'm not going to say like this is what I was doing like 7 years ago and this is what I'm doing now, where I'm at now. I'm more going to show you 4 categories that emerge out of my practice that actually show how the relational system of grown art work for me. So the first category will be relics. Then there are ceremonies of extraction. So it's depending on the life cycles of the artworks. Then there are hybrid transitory sculptures. We're going to see what it relates to. And then micro performances. So here relics are the result, the end product. This is what's going to the gallery. This is what people are used to see. Like, so what's the artwork? So they see something, and it, there are, for me, like, it's keeping the traces of the vital activity that is going on in my studio before. So the whole problem that I had for many years was like, first, I was trying to explain to the people that the art is not only that, is that, but while it's growing, and you're gonna see like visuals of it. But it was hard to explain to people that it's not like one artwork has many different representation of it, not only one. So, sorry, I'm always moving the wrong way. So this is an example of what you just saw, but while it's growing, this is how it looks. And so what it's made of, actually for me, like you have to travel with me in my talk through symbolic value. I'm not here to talk about the technicalities necessarily of the matter, but this is a biofilm that is coming out of symbiotic cultures of bacteria and yeast. You probably heard about it because this is also related to fermented food, like kind of the same microorganisms that are made for kombucha. So I'm using that, and I developed a technique slowly to just work as it grows and propose like some new materials so I can inlay materials as it's growing. Not only inlay, because there are many techniques that appeared out of it. So the thing is that I was trying to tell people like, so no, my artworks are processual artworks. Look, this is the artwork. I don't want like only people to see like the one that you saw at the first. So how to bring that outside in the gallery while it's growing, knowing that there is like 30 liters of liquid in it. So you see, I was trying to understand how to show these two different type of aesthetics that are actually two different moments in the growth. So my main problem was always, so how do I show all these aesthetics at the same time? And how do I explain? So the idea of grown art for me is also the idea to develop the idea in the mind of people that whatever form you see is, you should be able to read it in the potentiality of the forms it can become or it has been, and not only to take it for granted as it is right now. So this is, I'm trying to understand how to propose this new way of thinking about aesthetics and forms. So a very easy way to do it, like to show like the time-based thing, is to do a time lapse about the growing artwork, which I was not interested at all at first. I was trying to find other ways to do it. But I wanted to show you one time lapse so you could see a whole process that I did that very recently, actually. After 6 years, I decided, okay, I'm gonna do one just to see how it works. So the way I thought about this presentation was not necessarily project-based. It was more about to introduce you to you know, my aesthetics and my questions, the question that it raised to me. So the question that it raised to me was also like the relationship from the body to the environment and how it is displaced through a different approach to the sublime and the abjection. So, you know, we're used, it's actually like also culturally induced to us, and maybe also a little bit naturally, we don't know, like it's a mix of both, like every time, what we find abject and what we find sublime. So, you know, it's like a good place in art and aesthetics to think about how to negotiate this on a spectrum. So, yeah, you'll see like visions are quite raw into the matter. So you'll see, like using figures also is something that I allowed myself to do because I wanted to be an artist because I was so influenced by art history, the art history that I've known. Yeah, so really for me it was so sad. I was so happy about bringing all these new questions and living with living matter and being in the bio art community, but at the same time I'm not ready to give up on all the figures and chimeric paintings that all my life wanted, like influenced me to be an artist. So here we are, like both trying to cohabit in the same aesthetic, or like discussing aesthetics. So it's actually like, if you want some more technical information, it's like 3 months to grow, like approximately 1.5 months till 3 months, depending on the external conditions. But we'll see, of course, like this is very, very important in my art, very like how I work, and you'll see like the studio and the conditions and everything, you know, is like not controlled as much as in a lab. It's a studio, so I try to control it as much as possible. I changed like the floor. Now it's all like in ceramics, so I can wash it better, but it's still very limited like control. And what I understood, it's very hard actually to live with wild nature. It's so powerful and so vivid, like it's growing. These mattresses are weighing like from 30 kilos to 70 kilos, depending on the in the thickness. Thank you. So it's very corporal work. Like it's really like, and also the size that I chose shows that I really. Yeah, because it's growing, so it's very vivid organism, and it's hard to cohabit with organisms that don't need the same thing as us. So my studio is divided now by two, and I try to have a little space where it can exist that is not in a very warm and watery place. So here you see also the two aesthetics. So it's a bit like how to show this. This you see another artworks that are finished, that are more like gallery finished, like people can enjoy it, you can have it in your house. This was my first series before getting to this technique that I showed you. So here you see the matter as it's dried, and it's very it's plain. It's called les bustes. It was I felt like an ecological, because of the ecological crisis, and also the identity politics in the US were very, very strong at the time when I worked there. And okay, maybe we need to come back to something we can all relate to, like try to also understand that we're the one thinking the solutions for post-anthropocentric ideas. So this is the first series. It's always you can see always like the artwork growing and the artwork when it's dried and stabilized. Here, confrontation about the two aesthetics also. Here is a more political series that I did, that it's called Gods Help Us. So merging like poetry and words that are touching to biology, and also more emotional and psychological lexical, like lexic. So this is like a close-up of it. So now I'm gonna show you the ceremonies of extraction are actually like getting closer instead of the time-lapse. Just showing time-lapse, I was like, okay, how to bring people to see the real artwork? And then it started to grow the idea that people should follow the life cycles of my artworks. They need to understand that there is like a whole way that life works. And to know my artwork and get close to it and get really impacted by it, they need to know that at some point it needs to be extracted in some ways, and it needs to dry after it's getting on the end of its life cycle. So I'm going to show you the video. Is there sound? So this is at my studio. Oh. No music. It's like very romantic music, very lyrics also. We mix noise. I always work with the same performers. So here you can see the next idea that I got was starting to work with hybrid transitory sculptures. What I call is that it's also like working all around the culture and not just in what is inside, being focused on what is inside, but also understanding it as a whole mechanism, like what we need to grow, and it needs to be part of the system of enabling it to be alive and to grow, to contain it, needs also to be part of the sculpture. It shouldn't be only like what is growing inside. But here, actually, I'm super happy that today we have a real screen, because it's much better, the image, than in usually projectors. So, how much longer? I'm going to be quick. Wrap it up now? Okay. You can see all these videos online if you want. I'm going to go quickly to... So the hybrid transitory sculpture, as I told you, was also a way of like understanding sculpture as something that, you know, enables forms to transform and morph into other forms, and to enjoy the process of the processual artwork as an artwork by itself. Here you have all the installations that were inspired by my practice. Here you have my the beginning of a work with glass. So I started to work with glass, so I could also like start to form the liquid, the cultural liquid. And then you have micro performances that are more like based on scenarios that are inspired by the physiology of the matter at the time of the performances, and also other topics. Yeah. So I don't have the time to show you je sais plus, the small like teasers, but you can go on my website and you'll find them. So I think, you know, thematics are like, this is the whole artwork that never became artwork, so all the research and development visual ones. So you can see a little bit of my atelier, you can see a lot of like drawings, shapes. This is on biomediality, experimentation and sentience. These are the, like, it's by thematics. There are 4 thematics that are kind of interested in. This is more about mutations and alterity. So the question of another individual, multitude. And this is like mythopathology, which is about like when the pathos, like the emotion, comes and starts to mess up with your logic. So I'm also like telling myth through my art. And there was one more, but I guess, oh, this one, bodies and landscapes, so relation from like the body to the landscape and how it's modified by our understanding of what is abject and what is sublime.